make it to his destination. In fact, he gave assurances that there will be no military confrontation with Russia on the part of NATO or the U.S. over the situation in Ukraine. While speaking in Brussels, the U.S. president also said we are not witnessing a return to the Cold War, but that Russia's isolation will deepen. Our Washington RT correspondent, Guy Khan, has more.
Well, President Obama said this is not another Cold War we're entering. The whole speech was worded in a way that put a wall between us and them, between Russia and the West. The whole speech was meant to address the crisis in Ukraine, and he was talking about ideals, about values, about how bigger countries cannot bully smaller ones. And this one, of course, raised a few eyebrows given the U.S.'s own foreign policy record. He talked about upholding international law. Take a listen to this clip.
Generation to their deaths in the trenches. Russia's leadership is challenging truths that only a few weeks ago seemed self-evident. That in the 21st century, the borders of Europe cannot be redrawn with force. That international law matters. That people and nations can make their own decisions about their future.
With this, President Obama has basically dismissed the will of the people in Crimea as they voted to secede from Ukraine after a revolution took place there and join Russia here.
And it was here in Europe that a particular set of ideals began to emerge. The belief that through conscience and free will, each of us has the right to live as we choose. The belief that power is derived from the consent of the governed, and that laws and institutions should be established to protect that understanding.
So according to President Obama, people at Maidan did have a right to overthrow a democratically elected leader, but the people of Crimea did not have the right to vote to decide their own future. The speech has raised a lot of questions as to the U.S.'s own foreign policy and whether the U.S. really wants to de-escalate the situation around Ukraine, because it's saying that it wants to de-escalate. It's saying that we're not entering another Cold War, but at the same time, the Obama administration is actually ramping up the Cold War rhetoric.
That was RT's Guy Khan reporting.